All welcome back to Look at Business. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. If you're just joining us, this is Look Up TV. You can actually get in touch with this program online. That is at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. Now, as it is, let's look at an industry that is key to any developing economy, just like our economy is, the construction industry. Now, within the real estate sector, if you look at the trends that are emerging within the construction industry, then you're going to see a couple of terms thrown to you. Our building code, which essentially defines how we construct our buildings, and energy or green buildings. I'm going to define that as we go on with our conversation. But just to help us then introduce this subject in a proper way, I want to introduce to you a man who's actually leading in a particular technology. Precast technology. What that is, we're going to define it shortly, but for the sake of this conversation, let me introduce the CEO, Global Precast Limited, George Mbugua. How are you doing, sir?
Thank you very much. Fine, thank you.
Happy to have you around.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, Simba. And so many names you have.
Yes.
Glad to be here.
All of them. let me start this conversation from a very basic point. Your company essentially has a name that defines a technology within the construction industry. That is the cast or the precast tech. For someone who wants to understand what the precast technology is, what is the simplest definition you would give it?
Like I mentioned earlier, I'm George Mutua, Global Precast Panels,
Yes.
CEO and founder. Precast, in a very basic language, is a type of concrete that has been done prior or has been cast in a factory. Pre means before. So it is your normal type of concrete, the normal that we're used to in constructions. Mm-hmm. The difference is this one is made at a factory.
Yes.
As opposed to the one that you usually cast on site. So this one comes ready. The components are the same, the aggregates are the same, the class of concrete remains the same or as per the engineer specifications. But now the biggest difference is this one is done at a factory. So when it's brought to your site for construction, then it becomes more of an assembly than the real construction.
That's it. So essentially it is done for you. So the only thing you're going to do is assembly. Good. Let me take a step back and understand what Global Precast Limited company is, when you started it, and exactly what you're trying to achieve within the construction industry.
Global Precast Panels has been there for the last 6 years now.
Yes.
We started as a manufacturing company, actually, manufacturing and producing the precast concrete for sale to individuals, to contractors and all that. But with time, the conversation changed. The conversation changed because many of our clients or customers would interact with precast, but would say, hey, I like the technology, looks interesting, but I do not have the know-how. How do you assemble this?
Yes.
How do you use precast for construction? You see, all what you're telling me is on paper. Now, how do I actualize this? Then now, as a company, we thought through, and we thought of, how about we give you a solution? Instead of coming to Global Precast Panels and buying the wall slabs or the staircase or the floor slabs, we give you a solution. Solution means now we give you the precast materials and then we do the assembly for you. That means you're now able to have your house easily, quickly, and conveniently. So that's what we've been doing, but we started as a company that was manufacturing the precast. But then with time, the conversations have changed. So we have a factory where we produce and manufacture,
yes,
and at the same time, we do installation, which is more or less construction.
Pretty much. Mr. Mutua, let me point you out to what has been said is a problem in our building code in the country. That the construction industry is a bit slow to adopting emerging technologies that other developed economies have already gone into deeply. So is precast tech a new thing to the construction industry in the country? And when you look at the adoption rate to your clients, the ones that you're working with right now, how would you comment about how we are embracing this tech within the industry?
Precast is not new per se, but because of what we found or what you're accustomed to, the traditional brick and mortar,
yes,
that's why we say that precast is new. But remember, precast has been used in other areas of construction. For example, when you buy cabro is precast. When you buy the road culverts, the round ones, they are precast. When you're doing the road caps, they are precast. So we've used precast years before, but in different areas, but not ordinarily on the house construction. I'll give you the example of the SGR. That is precast purely. Look at the expressway. The road was actually made elsewhere.
And assembled.
The guys came with cranes and assembled the slabs,
Yeah.
and within a short period, that's how we managed to have the precast. So precast has been used elsewhere, especially if you've traveled in Western countries. They don't have the luxury that we have of the traditional stones, quarry stones, machine cast stones, and all that. Actually, that contributes to a very small percentage. But if you look at the other countries who are able to develop, and even here locally, the apartments or the big buildings that have been mushrooming, they are built up real quick because they have adopted precast, which is now different, which comes with a lot of advantages when you compare to brick and mortar. So we are trying to continuously educate people by telling them, yes, you've used precast elsewhere, but now it's time for us to move it specifically to the housing industry because of the advantages that it comes with.
Pretty much. Let's handle the giant in the room. The way we are accustomed to building, and I'm talking about private homes as well, you find people who say they want to design their houses with the engineer all the way to the completion. I want this color of perfumes, I want this material, I want this size of a room, I want this type of a wall. So are you saying that part of what you're doing then is that you're part of the decision making together with the engineers who are coming up with these buildings, and to what level are you involved before somebody makes a decision then to continue building their houses?
Just to explain this and to break it down,
yes,
we take a normal house plan. Remember, of course, the conception or the starting point is the house plan that is done by an architect.
Does it?
We take the house plan that has already been designed by an architect.
So it's not a precast house plan that you
were talking about. It is not any different. A house plan is a house plan that has been drawn by the architect as per the client specification. There is no different house plan for
precast tech.
It is not. It is your normal house plan that any architect will give you.
Yes.
So whether it's Global Precast doing the plan or it's a different architect doing the plan, it does not change, because remember, the house is made or it's built for you as a client. So we are not telling you you need to change your house plan to fit precast, because precast is a solution. It is an alternative to brick and mortar, which we traditionally know as a permanent house. And this is what we are offering. Precast is permanent. It will work as good, and you can take it, in fact, stronger than your traditional brick and mortar.
Does it?
Yes.
Pretty much. So now, let's look at the applications of precast tech, and I'm talking about in the building of houses. In which different ways is somebody listening to you today and saying, I like that idea, I would like to actually get into precast tech. If I'm building my house, where can I apply precast tech?
Precast is literally a solution for everything, from the foundation to the walls, to the slab, anything that you do in a normal house construction. And the process of how our construction remains the same. Remember, once you have the plan, on a normal day, you will need a QS to give you a quotation. You will need the government, relevant government approvals or county approvals, the plan to be approved and all that. So the process remains the same. And now we have a solution for all this. Now, remember the foundation is a lot of work. You dig, you backfill, you do your foundation. We're saying we have a solution for that. Remember for the walls, assembling sand, cement, stones, some steel bars for a ring beam and all that.
Yes.
We are addressing that. We have a staircase. We have a slab when it comes to story building. So it is a 360 solution that is cheaper and convenient, saves money and saves time. So precast is the way to go. And I think people are embracing, especially because of the costs and the time and the convenience that precast comes with.
If we're talking about this being the time that people are adopting this technology, do we have sufficiency in terms of the experts in the field? Because again, if we're going to talk about precast, then we talk about, just like you said, interlocking tech as well. It changes the conversation to, do we have enough experts in the field who are then good enough to actually support precast tech?
We have a lot of people who are willing to learn. The advantage with interlocking system is each and every piece goes to a specific place. Just like when you're assembling a car or a bicycle, you can't get it wrong. This particular part needs to go here. So it even makes the work easier, because if there's an interlock, if this segment is supposed to join with this other one, this is where the joinery is, you cannot actually get it wrong. Zero error rate, because it means if you don't get it right, then you do not have a house. Now, what makes it easy is any engineer or any fundi can learn, because those grooves, you can identify them. You can identify this joint is supposed to go here or there. In fact, a normal fundi would take 2-3 days to learn, because it is not science. It's like a puzzle.
Then it has to
we've done everything for you. We've brought you the materials ready, just getting to know which part goes where. An engineer will just look at this and, you can even have that house in a day in their mind. Now, practically, it reduces the time of construction by half, because everything comes ready. You don't have to worry about what people call Kabiro. Kabiro is making sure that that line is straight. Now, we've done that for you, because the precast will come with grooves, and it will come with what needs to go where. So it becomes pretty fast and easy. And that's why I mentioned earlier with precast, now we're moving from construction to more of an assembly bit. And I'm very certain you know how it's easy to assemble something once you've been given everything right.
Yes.
Exactly.
All right. So the other conversation essentially is going to be around where you are as a company. You're filling this space where we do know very well that you also need to invest in education. I want to ask you a very particular question. And this one I'm picking it from essentially some of the feedback that we've received here when we floated this conversation that you'll be coming here. Let me have you respond to one George Kinuthia, who's saying, number one, I think one of the reasons I have not embraced the precast tech in Kenya is because I feel I have not been taught enough, number one, on how safe it is, and number two, on how cheaper it is. It's a very, very big concern here. Just since we're there, let me just also pick the next one so we can actually get to respond to them at the same time. Number two, there's also one who's saying, look, yes, it is good, but what time limit am I talking about? Especially when it comes to floors. All right, number three, special one, can it be used to support story buildings that go as high? Let's respond to that.
To start with Kinuthia,
yes.
Very straightforward answer is we are where we are because of perception and what we found and what is taught in our universities and in schools.
Yes.
Now, education, of course, it's a continuous process. And we are saying for such people, it is very easy for us to demonstrate. Pay us a visit, we will show you structures that are being done using precast in Nairobi and around.
Yes.
Now, the difference comes in because probably someone would be expecting to see a precast house, which is not the case, because once the house has been done, finished, painted, you will not tell the difference between a precast house
And one that is not.
one that is not. So you've been interacting with them, and so many of them. And like I mentioned, the expressway, that is tarmac. Concrete, just like any other normal, but it's precast.
Yeah.
That's number one in terms of education.
Yes.
Then in terms of what precast can be used for, remember when you're doing a building, there's the superstructure, which is the columns, the beams, which have to be done in the usual manner.
Yes.
So what you're offering is solutions for the walling, for the floor, for the staircase, and the other components that comes with it. Remember, even where you sit, there are a lot of tall buildings. The walls are probably glass. How safe is that?
In fact, we should start with that question, isn't it?
Yes,
yeah,
and now
walls that are glass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What carries that building is the structure of it, which is the columns and the beams, which have they're usually done in the original or in the traditional manner, whichever way.
Yes.
So it could be steel. I think you've seen that as well. It could be your normal concrete.
Yeah.
So it can support any form of structures, short, tall, and all that. So regardless of whichever building that we're talking about, then the solutions we have are for the walls, for the slabs, which you also have several alternatives. Where we come from, people use timber for their walling, and the houses are still there. If you move around Nairobi, you'll see mabati houses, and they're still there. So we are talking of concrete. That is the traditional concrete, brick and mortar. The difference is that it's made in a factory, and then we do the assembly. What was the other question?
Time factor.
Time factor. Now, I said this earlier that precast reduces time by half.
Yes.
Remember, there is no curing period. So if you're to do a normal slab, it will not take you less than 2 months, because you need to start with the props, then you need to do what we call formwork, then you have guys who come to do the chuma, the steel, and all that. They take forever. Then the actual time of koroga, you buy sand, cement, ballast, then you koroga, then wait for 21 days curing period, and you've employed someone to just be pouring water. Now, precast, we just take only 1 week, because so much goes into planning. Because remember, you will need a house plan, then now we plan accordingly. Planning means we get the specifics. If it's the walls, what height are we looking at? How many pieces are we looking at? If it's the slab, what are the spans? So we will do a bit of planning, and then when it comes to assembly, that's when we take a very short period, because everything comes ready. If I was to give an example, a normal bungalow,
Yes.
Let's say 3-4 bedroom, having done the foundation and everything, you can have your house in 3 weeks, which you cannot achieve
Under
under normal circumstances. Yeah, if you're looking at a mansionette,
Yes.
we are looking at 3 months. If you're doing the casting, factoring in the waiting period and all that, you'll not do that within 6 months or so.
Yes.
So we reduce that by far. In addition to that, we are very precise. Remember, brick and mortar, you'll keep adding materials here and there until you give up, because it's not very easy to get the quotation to the specifics and to get it right at a go. So you'll either end up with oversupply or undersupply. Precast, you come with the materials ready, you come with the doors ready, windows ready, roofing ready, and you just do an assembly of a house, and there you go.
Pretty much. All right, let's move into the next part of the conversation. I just want to look at exactly who you have been and how you've grown within the next 6 years, and what we are going to expect to see you get into as a company. This is that time when you give us all the secrets for your company.
Yeah.
Hopefully the competitors are not listening. Here's the thing. You started selling these materials, then you realized there's a need for these materials that your customers are saying, well, where are they? Can we see some of the buildings you've actually supported to grow to this level? Then you say, well, there's a market here, let's get into it. Do we expect to see you grow deeper into this tech? And if so, where?
To start with, Of course, seeing is believing,
Yeah.
and most of the customers will always ask that question. And when you visit us in Kitengela, where we are located, we have many show houses. So first of all, people who have questions, they've not seen a precast house rather.
Yeah.
You come, you show them this is the raw materials, then here is a house, and they are wowed. Number two, we've gotten a lot of support from institutions, government included. Reason being, here is COVID. You need social distancing. You need extra classrooms within a very short period,
That's it, yeah.
or even dormitories.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you able to do that using brick and mortar? You will take forever.
Take forever.
You'll be caught up. But
Yeah.
with precast, we can actually do a classroom within 2 weeks. In fact, as we head towards the school holidays, we have clients whom we've planned and arranged with. We are just waiting for the schools to close. And you know what? Within the short holiday, I think it's a month or so,
Yeah, yeah.
before students resume, they'll find ready classrooms that have already been furnished. They'll find ready dormitories. They will find ready structures that have been put in place. What that tells you is that precast is the way to go. It is saving money,
Yeah.
it is saving time, and it is very precise, and it's very convenient.
That's it.
Anyone who's done any form of construction, they do understand the challenges that are there, especially when I mention whereby you have to keep adding materials. It is a big headache, because today you've bought 50 bags of cement, then within 2-3 days, you receive that annoying phone call. I need a few. Yes, and the moment you do that,
Yeah.
the moment you've added cement,
Yeah.
be ready to add sand.
Definitely.
and any other materials that come with it. So at
Transport
Global,
kidogo.
exactly. So at Global Precast, we're
Yeah.
giving you solutions, and believe you me, because we've planned everything in advance.
Yes.
It's very precise. We just come ready to do the assembly, and there you go. You have a house.
Pretty much. All right, let's address the industry perspective. In this conversation of let's build green buildings, let's build buildings that are for the environment. Could you like to comment on this particular one? How environmentally friendly is precast tech in this conversation for a green industry?
Actually, one of the things that saddens me is the lives that we've lost.
Yeah.
You guys, you're in the news, and every other time you hear of quarries collapsing, our youth get hurt, we lose lives in the process.
Yeah.
So we are saying there's an alternative, because with precast, we are not going to quarries to harvest anything. In anything, we're just using materials that are there, and there are no more components. So we can save lives. Number two, there is something that is called formwork, especially when you're doing a slab. Formwork is those many trees that you plant on a building before you put the formwork, which is again timber, before you put your steel so that you can cast. How many young trees can we save if we adopt precast? Because we are saying for your slab, for your house slab, you don't need any formwork. The slab will come ready. We use a crane to place, just like the way the road was placed, they are using a crane. So look at how many lives we're able to save. Look at how many trees we're able to save if we eliminate this issue of formwork. And I think even that's why some of the institutions like Kenya Power are moving from the traditional, posts. And if you move around, you'll see a lot of concrete posts.
Yeah.
It is as a result of wanting to be environmental friendly, saving our trees and saving lives. So we are using available materials, which is your normal sand, which is your normal cement, and reinforcement, which is steel, and coming up with structures that are stable, sound, in fact, stronger, because we are talking of something that has been manufactured in an environment that is controlled, tried and tested in all the labs, and meets the standards. As opposed to the concrete you do there, you have those guys just throwing in sand there, cement there, water. We are talking of a technology that embraces, all the the tests and taking care of the small bits, because even the ratios, you need to get them right for you to have a sound building. Now, precast is also precisely smaller and lighter. That means even in terms of the materials that required, it's less, and you also save. Even the buildings that you're talking about, if you're doing 20 floors, then if you're using precast, it means you'll use less materials because you need less reinforcement and the other materials because they are lighter as opposed to the other materials. But it does not mean that they are weaker. It means that you can actually use less materials and get better results.
Pretty much. Let's clear this conversation like this, because I'm told we have 3 minutes. For somebody looking to build tomorrow, today, and they're listening to you, why should they pick up that phone and call Global Precast Tech Limited so that you could be part of whatever it is they're trying to build today?
We are saying that traditionally construction has been hectic, and when you move around you see a lot of stalled buildings. Those people meant well, okay, and they meant to finish their construction, but because of uncertainties, because of getting the quotation wrong and all that, they stop for some reason. So once you have your house plan and you give it to us, we are giving you a quote that is precise. Precise means there's no one who's going to call you to add the sand, the cement, and the other materials. That's number one. Number two, we said when you're looking at building a permanent house, there are many aspects: sand, cement, ballast, reinforcement. If you put all these factors together and they compare with the cost of buying one precast, then you realize that precast is way cheaper. Number three, time of doing the construction. We are taking half the time. So it means you'll not have fundis forever. No one is going to bother you, because as you reduce time, you reduce on your labor cost. Now, precast is an amazing product. You don't need to do any plastering. They come ready for paint work. You don't need to hack the walls for you to pass electricals and plumbings and all that. They come with provision for that. Can you imagine that? Now, number three, we are saying we will do this for you. We don't want you to have the headache. We are able to do this for you. We are fully certified, and you can give us the job and we will deliver with the convenience at an agreed budget.
Pretty much. Mr. Mutua, thank you very much for taking your time to join us right here on
You're
Look at
most
Business. Guess what? It's saying is the answer. Guess what? Precast Tech, and there was no better conversation or man to have in the studio today other than him really talking about, in his words, why you should pick up your phone and call him today. Saying hakuna kuongeza stima na mchanga na cement. If that talks to you, then you should talk to him. Take him back to the time that he joined us today, right here on Look Up Business at Look Up TV, across all your social media platforms. Talk to me at Kia Gasemba. See you next week for another one. Yeah, my father is going to be your next customer.
Thank you.